Kip Moore, welcome to Smooth Country. How are you?
Fantastic, fantastic. You okay?
Yeah, fantastic. I'm very excited about what's around the corner for us here for our C2C music festival. But before I talk about that, I just really want to find out how you're doing lately because it's been a weird old time for everyone. So, what have you been up to?
Well, I normally tour for 10 months straight, and I did that last year. And then I take off 2 months every winter, and I go surf, and then I go snowboard, and then I go back to work. So I just got back just a little bit ago from snowboarding.
Oh, wow. And how was it? Fantastic?
It was amazing. It's always the best time. I was surfing for a little over a month out in Maui, and then I went straight to Park City, Utah.
Wow. A nice contrast, too. Two different
Yeah,
angles to your holiday, if you like.
yeah, I love it.
I love that idea as well. You get your head down, you just focus on the work, and then you think, right, for 2 months, I'm not doing anything. I'm just going to enjoy myself.
Yeah, it's beautiful. In Maui, sometimes I just love, people can't wrap their head around. I have this tiny little backpack, and I'll leave for a month and a half, Costa Rica, Mexico, somewhere, Maui, whatever, and that's all I bring. And they're like, there's no way you can travel like that. I'm like, yeah, because I'll bring one T-shirt that I never wear pretty much when I'm at the beach the whole time, and a pair of board shorts, and I got some old beat up band shoes, and it's like I barely even wear those. And it's I feel this sense of freedom. And every morning I get my coffee, and I'll kind of go meditate a little bit early morning around 5:36, and then I kind of skateboard through the town before anybody's woken up, and you hear all the birds, and it's incredible. And then I'll surf for a little bit, and I usually get a workout in after I surf, and I have like my routine, and then I get on a dirt bike and I go ride dirt bikes up through the mountains of Maui. And but there's times where I'll go 48 hours and I realize I haven't said a word to anyone in 48 hours, and I love that.
Well, I've been asking around about you a little bit too, and some of the things I know already. You've been described as a bit of a lone wolf, and I was going to bring that up in the conversation, but you basically just confirmed it straight away for me. To take yourself away from things sometimes. I'd recommend it because I do exactly the same.
Yeah, I come from a family of 6 kids, and I think that kind of shaped me a little bit as far as I was always trying to get off on my own, because it was everybody's trying to get a word in all the time, So I became my own man very early in life, and yeah, I'm truly an introvert with the most extroverted job in the world. So I feel like you give so much, and a lot of times you're not getting filled back up, and so I learned early in my career that I needed to take breaks, but you don't know what you can and can't do when it's early on. And around 2017, I told my manager, I said, hey, look, here's the deal. I'll tour up until December 15th, and then I'm leaving, and I'm not coming back until the end of February. And at first it was kind of like, well, hang on a second now. We need to talk. I said, no, this isn't a discussion. This is what I'm going to do. And if you book a show, I won't be there. So, I'm going to go surf, and that's how it is. So it was a great decision on my part.
That's a pretty definitive. Even your manager or your agent will know you're not showing up, and that's
Yeah.
great.
And they always try it. It's like every year I'll get like hey, we've been offered to play the AFC Championship, or we've been offered to do this. And I'm like, you could offer me $1 million and I ain't taking it. Like I'm not coming,
Well, that just tells you everything, I need to know about you and how important it is for you to get away from it all. But then that must make you hungry to get back into it again. Once, like you say, you've just finished.
The interesting thing is I wrote so much of the Wild World record and the Slow Heart record. Once I started taking those trips, those two records were kind of born that way, where I started writing all that music. So that's part of my process every single morning. The first thing I do when I wake up, and I'm always up before the sun comes up when I'm out there, is I'll grab a little cup of coffee that opens up really early down the street. And I always have my little notepad, and I'll jot down all my thoughts, lyrics. I've got melodies every single morning when I wake up. And when I come back around 1:00 from my first half of the day, I'll work for 30 minutes. And I'll just kind of suss out what I had that morning, and then I'll go do something else. And I'll come back that night, I'll grab a drink, and that's when I work, is at night. And then I'll wake up and do it all over again. And I wrote so much of this record, this new record that'll be coming in Maui on this previous trip.
Well, that's such an interesting thing as well, because so many people do it the exact opposite to that. You know, they've got the home studio and they almost use it like a 9 to 5 or whatever. It's a workplace that they log in every day. You're completely, you're the outdoors doing that, if you like, and taking it all in from nature.
You know, and I do write every single morning. Like, I'm here in Nashville. It's just a part of my, like, I'm about to write when I get off the phone here. You know, I've got my buddy Dan Couch. We write so much together, and we'll be writing for the next 5 or 6 hours. But I've noticed that, you know, I think about songs like Janie Blue, that was definitely been a crowd favorite from the Wild World record. I wrote that at 2 o'clock in the morning in Costa Rica. You know, all these kind of spontaneous things that have happened with these other records recently. There'll be, you know, 4, 5, 6 songs on this new record that happened that way in Maui. So, you know, I just, it kind of never shuts off, but there's something that I've learned special that happens when I get in those elements, where all the things that have been in my head, I'm finally able to process from the year that just transpired.
I love that. It's unique. I've never come across that before. We speak to a lot of people here, so that's a lovely little take on the way it works for you. Can I ask you about then your new project? What can we expect from it, and when? More importantly,
well, you know, I just let the label hear the first 3 or 4, and there was I don't think I've ever had a reaction like that to my music, of all the previous 4 records. So now they're super, super ecstatic over what I turned in. So I don't know what's going to happen now. I don't know. I truly don't know what's going to happen there. I know they're in talks of figuring that out. But I think that they're so excited about the 3 I turned in. They're trying to figure out kind of what the next movie is, because we just put out this Crazy More Time, and the hope is that we have the record out, you know, by midsummer, but I'm not sure what's going to happen.
Sure, but a work in progress. But it sounds like a brilliant start for sure. That's very encouraging to hear that feedback. I've got to ask you as well, though, more immediately. There's so much anticipation for Country to Country back here, because I presumably, like parts of the States as well, we were locked down for so long and there was no music going on, no live music. So with this festival, I've got to tell you, I know you performed at it before. And first of all, what was your reaction to it? Is the UK audience any different to the US audience for you, or?
You know, at times, yes. And at times no. We felt like we had a very special reaction when we were the opening act 2015. We felt like something was happening unique, and then we found out that it was from the amount of records that we sold on that first festival. As the opening band, we shouldn't have sold that many records, and we knew that something was happening. So we came back, you know, and I feel like the people there understand it's not easy for us to come over there. You know, when you're bringing a whole band and crew, and the flights and the hotels, it's just not easy. And it honestly, financially, it makes no sense. But we dedicated ourselves to playing music for those fans, and they've responded, and it's been a beautiful exchange of love, you know, through the years. And I will say that the audience, what I learned, and I tell people, don't get discouraged if they're really quiet for you, because it doesn't mean they're not enjoying you. Where the States are just a little more, it's just sometimes a more exuberant attitude, you know, when you come in, and there can be a lot more drinking a lot of times in the States, you know, but and that always changes the game. But, you know, we've had some wild crowds, you know, and I think about the years that people have gathered in alleyways and outside my dressing room after I just played a 2-hour set. And I can remember, you know, going out in the streets and playing for another hour. And I've got, you know, 700 to 1,000 people all around me, and everyone's giving me the space and being quiet for me to play, where I don't think I could ever pull that off in the States. I just think it would be too crazy. There's no way I could do it, you know? So that kind of stuff is a really beautiful thing.
That sounds amazing. It's like a gig after the gig, if you like. You know, it's like
Yeah.
an extra piece. But what I
It,
was
it,
leading up to was, you know, the reaction to the crowds. We're so excited anyway when country to country comes around. But because we've been deprived for so long, people are, it's no exaggeration to say, it reminds me when I check out the forums and people are excitedly exchanging messages with each other. It's like kids before Christmas, but this time it's adults before country to country is what it reminds me of. And I'm not just saying this because I'm talking to you right now, but this is absolutely true. And I've said it on the radio show. Kip Moore name comes up over and over and over again because, you know, people are throwing stuff. Who are you most looking forward to seeing? Who's your favorite? You know, who's the best on the lineup? All those things. And your name comes up time and time again. So you're going to be, well, the reaction will be stunning, I promise you.
sounds like a smart bunch of people.
Yeah, no, but there will be a lot of love going on because I've seen the build up and people are desperate to get back out there and enjoy themselves again.
We're going to give them a hell of a show. I promise.
I bet you are, and they're going to love it. And do you know what would be great at some point? When, you know, once country to country's done and you've got your new music and you know where you're going with it and when it's going to be released, it'd be great to catch up with you again just to see what the whole country to country thing was like for you.
Just let me know. I'm in.
Oh, that'd be brilliant. Well, listen, I'm looking forward to seeing you at the weekend myself. I'll be there somewhere in the crowd, but also good luck with the new material. It sounds like you probably don't need it, and it's been an absolute pleasure getting to know you a bit because I just love your attitude and, you know, your unique take on it all.
Take care, my friend. Later.
Bye-bye now.